Did I do that?
Hey guys, JMRolyat here, and I thought I'd take a quick minute to talk to you about one of my favorite sitcoms that I watched growing up as a kid. For most people, you know, they're like, oh, Full House was the best, or yeah, Friends. But I always liked Family Matters the most. Maybe it was honestly just because all of the characters were black or something. I don't know. I always thought it was funnier, and I thought that it showed something different than most of the other sitcoms. Like, you know, sure, Full House is fine, but that show really doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you think about it. You have a dad, a widowed dad with his 3 daughters, plus his brother-in-law, and then his best friend from high school, living all in the same house. It's not the most far-fetched thing I've ever heard, but like, it just doesn't really make sense. Meanwhile, in Family Matters, you have a dad, a mom, their 3 kids, and then their grandmother and their aunt and cousin, which it doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, because like that's a lot of people to have in one house. But like, I don't know, it seems less far-fetched. Like, it's not like, oh, my best friend and my brother-in-law of my late wife. I don't think people think about that much when they think about the fact that Jesse doesn't really have a reason to be there. So, I don't know, maybe it is just me. I just think it's a little weird, a little bit of a gray area. When it comes down to it, Family Matters is just like slightly more fun, or like, I can understand the first season it's not super fun because there's not a whole lot of like oddity to it, but then as the show goes on it becomes almost ridiculous to a point, and there's really one reason for this. Steve Urkel. Now this character, I love him. I can't get enough of him. But he makes very little sense from like a plot perspective. So like, it's their weird neighbor's son, Steve Urkel, who comes over to the house because he's in love with Carl Winslow's daughter, Laura. And he's a huge pain in the side for Carl. And often he'll just, he's like a nerd, and he doesn't seem to have any sort of like ability not to break things. So he's just constantly getting into these terrible situations. But as the show goes on, he becomes more of like a scientist and starts doing these projects, and he ends up he makes himself cool in a couple of episodes, and he becomes Stefan Urkel. But like, I just don't get how they thought of a character like Steve. As the show progresses, it becomes less and less about a family and more about Steve Urkel harassing this family. Like, it's really bad. Stephen Urkel goes so bad as to cross over into 2 other sitcoms. Yeah, I'm not joking about that. He's in an episode of Full House and an episode of Step by Step. It's kind of weird. Steve Urkel was such a popular character that he came up with his own dance, and he did that dance a second time in Step by Step. And as the show goes on, less and less of the family exists, and more of the show is just Steven. Like, if you look at it, I think that like the first to go is their 3rd daughter, Jody, something like that. Like, they lose their daughter at some point, they don't explain it, and then they also eventually both Rachel and Richie leave, and then you also have like the wife gets changed for a different one, which I don't know why that happens, but it happens. It's like really weird that the show becomes less and less about the other characters and more about Steve. And I don't have a problem with that because it was funny, but like Steve's a weird character. I'm surprised that they didn't see it coming. Like he was a phenomenon. And yet the weirdest part of it is I'll be talking to people and they won't know who Steve Urkel is. I'm like, how do you not know who he is? Either way, maybe I'm the odd man out. I'll just leave it at that, guys. Thanks for watching. You know, like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz, or not. I mean, it's up to you. Feel free to leave suggestions for future videos down in the comments, or I mean, you can say what you want in the comments. So it's your choice. Other than that, catch you next time, guys.
After 10,000 years, I'm free. Time to conquer Earth.
Do the Urkel. Do the Urkel. Do the Urkel. Do the Urkel. It's a catchy dance, a catchy song, but like, why does he have that? Why is that a thing that he has? And that's not even later on in the show. That's like within like the first couple of years.